I'm going to tell you a true story today that many people in our community keep asking me to share about a near death experience that I had quite a few years ago now. The experience was profound and it absolutely changed my life going forward. It's one of the contributing factors to why I choose to go out and mentor and help people as much as I possibly can to pass on what was passed to me so that they can have a better life and enjoy more, have more abundance in life, and certainly live a more joyous and happy life. So I ended up having a plastic surgery and I developed something called MRSA. MRSA is an antibiotic resistant staph infection, and it actually made huge open wounds in my body that were extremely dangerous, I guess. And I was very sick. By the time I talked my doctor into sending me to the hospital, when I arrived, I had a blood clot in my leg and a blood clot in my lung. I had MRSA and 7 large gaping wounds around my body. And honestly, the prognosis was very poor for having that much MRSA in your body. I was graced to have a chief of staff of that particular hospital as my consulting doctor. And he um, was doing everything they could to help me. I was in ICU. I had many beautiful people praying for me and praying for me to return to health, including my 2 amazing children. So one day I had a very odd experience, and I could actually feel my spirit leaving my body. And the next thing I knew, I feel like I woke up and I was in a place of pure love, pure peace, um, love past anything that I had ever experienced in my life. And I had already had some amazing experiences with my teacher, Anne, that I had gone through. But when I woke up, the very first question that I remember asking was, what about my children? And the answer came back very clearly that they were old enough. And that was shocking and kind of surprising to me because at that point, my children were like 18 and 19. But as a mom, I still thought of them as babies. So I was interested in that answer that they were old enough. And I realized in that moment that they were old enough, that they didn't need me like they maybe had once needed me as a mom. The second thing that happened was when I realized where I was, I said, is this where we do my death inventory? Is this where I repent for all the things that I did where I harmed myself or I harmed another human being, the things that I felt really bad about? The answer surprised me again. And the answer was so loving. It was that my child, every time you did one of those things, you actually broke your own character. And when you broke your character, you punished yourself. And you punished yourself much worse than I could have done to you. And I don't punish, I forgive. And so all of those things have already been dealt with. But the thing that you are doing, that if there is a sin, I would consider a sin, is that you're not enjoying your life. You're not living to the fullest. I put you on the earth so that you, as my child, could enjoy, you could play, and more than anything, you could love one another and learn to love more unconditionally and more unconditionally. You also need to learn to love yourself. And you have been taking life far too seriously and working far too many hours. And you need to let yourself play, learn how to play, and go enjoy this world that I created. And within moments, I woke up. I was in my body. I don't remember a choice as to come back or not come back. I was just back in my body. I woke up to having all kinds of nurses and a doctor surrounding my bed. And later that day, I had another code blue experience. And the only thing that happened then was I saw these beautiful lights. By the way, in that place, there was music, there were lights, there were things that it's just beyond anything I've ever seen here on this earth. It's an incredible place. And I came back knowing that we are all loved and we are all loved equally, that there is no one that is loved more than another by God, that we are all loved equally, regardless of what we think we've done, regardless of what our lives are like. No one is above anyone. We are all the same. And so I wanted to pass that experience on today because it definitely colored the rest of my life. And when it actually took me 4 months to get out of the hospital with MRSA because I was so weak I couldn't hold up my head, so it took a long time to learn to sit up and then to walk again, but I did, and shortly after that, I actually had always had a dream of going to Europe since I was a young woman, and I finally bought the tickets, and my best friend and I had an outrageously wonderful time in Paris and in London. And then we also went to Costa Rica. I took my children, I took their boyfriend and mates at the time, and had an outrageous trip there. And it went to Belize. So it went very quickly after that, my traveling and allowing myself to play. And I had to learn how to play as an adult because my family was very serious and we were all had a tenacious work ethic, but weren't people that really learn to play very well. So I just want you all to see this message as one of encouragement. And if there's anything that I hope you gain today, it's knowing that you are so loved, that you are loved beyond anything that you could ever imagine every day in every way. You are made perfectly. You are a beautiful being, and you have everything you need inside of you to live a life of joy and of prosperity. So I'm wishing you all a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you again soon.